so back to my impressions about the car. As you can see, I was still a little acceleration there. It wasn't full throttle or anything, but if you guys saw the little light to the left, I did hit VTEC. Yeah, other things about the car, the brakes in the car, so far they've been fantastic. They've always stopped me. There's not much to say about them. They have a really good feel though. You barely need to press on the pedal and you actually get some feel out of them. The steering, it's a little numb. You really don't get any feel out of it. It has a decent weight to it. I might like a little bit more, but it's certainly livable. The clutch, and this is like with all SIs, the engagement is a little bit on the high side. So that's just something that you might need to get used to if you're coming from another manual car. Because in a lot of cars, the engagement point tends to be lower. Yeah, like I already said, the car is really easy to drive. You have fun in it without going fast. And that's part of the reason why I chose this car. The other cars I was looking at this time was Subaru WRX, but the insurance cost on that is outrageous for me because I'm only 20 years old and you can't even find one to buy. So that was pretty much out of the running. I also looked at the Volkswagen GTI. That car is much faster than this one. Well, I shouldn't say much faster, but it definitely does have a lot more power than this. And I would have been able to get one for probably somewhere around the lease. I'm leasing this car, so the GTI probably could have gotten it around like mid to high 200s a month with nothing down. And that was probably my second choice. When I drive that car, I just don't have as much fun in it as I do with this car. And this car, not only that, I got it dirt cheap. The true zero lease, 36 months with 12,000 miles a year. I'm only paying $227 a month. That's like nothing for an SI. And considering all the features that you get with it, it's just a fantastic value. And the only other car that I really considered was the Hyundai Elantra Sport. And the first dealer I went to on that, they tried to sell it to me at $419 a month for a lease, true zero. And that car, the selling price was over $1,000 cheaper than this one. So they eventually called me back and asked if I wanted to do it at $290. But surprisingly, the Elantra was like $50 more a month to insure for this car. And its transmission wasn't as good and it wasn't as fast. So while it did have things like leather and heated seats and all that good stuff they get in a Hyundai, it really wasn't the car that I would have enjoyed. So that's why I ended up with the SI. And I almost did get a Rally Red SI, but the dealer that I went to, they had this orange one in the showroom, and I just fell in love with it, so that's why I got orange. And the only other thing I really didn't hit on with this car is the suspension. It could be a little bit hard at times, but it's never uncomfortable. And it's still somewhat soft, and you do get a tiny bit of body roll, but from what I understand, it's nowhere near as bad as previous SIs. Because for 2014, they did make the suspension a lot stiffer. And like I said, it's never uncomfortable, but it is a little bit on the hard side. But it's nothing as hard as, say, like a GTI or WRX or a BRZ or anything like that. The sound system, it's upgraded compared to a normal Civic. It's twice the wattage. And for a stock sound system, it sounds great. It's not very loud at maximum volume, but it does sound good, which I prefer over sound. I've also driven a Kia Optima a lot that has the upgraded Infinity audio, and that is one of the better stock sound systems I've ever heard in a car. I mean, it's nowhere near as good as compared to like Audi's Bang & Olufsen system or the Burmeister systems and the Porsches. Those are just amazing. But talking cars in the lower price range, this one is pretty damn good. Yeah, so overall, I really love the car, and now that it's warmed up, once we get to the parking garage, we could rev it a little, and you guys could really see what it sounds like. So I'm on my way to the garage now, and we're also going to encounter a few speed bumps, and you'll see it handles those just fine. You could take them at like 15 miles per hour. So here comes the first speed bump. You can see it was pretty smooth, and that was like 16, 17 miles per hour. And as you can see right there, when I went to third, you could see the RPMs actually rise a little bit, and that's the rev hang that this car has. I didn't touch the gas at all, and I was able to go into third without rev matching, and that's just because of the rev hang. Apparently they do it for environmental reasons. It helps burn off something between shifts, but if you guys get a reflash for the ECU on the car, you could get rid of that. And like right now, it probably isn't being picked up by the phone, but as I was letting off the gas, you could hear the exhaust drone. And if you have the radio on or you're talking to someone, like, you really don't hear it, but I do just want to make a point that it is there for anybody that's wondering. Alright, so now we're heading into the parking garage, and this time I'll leave the windows all the way down. And luckily the parking spot that I like is still here. It's right in the corner. So that way only one car could park next to me and, you know, hopefully not bump into my car. And as you guys can see, it has the backup camera right there, and the lines, they turn with the steering wheel, so it basically tells you where the car is going to be. And real quick, I'll just rev it so you guys can hear what it sounds like. And it's a pretty decent sounding car. It's not the best I've ever heard, but it's not bad. And yeah, if you guys ever want to hear anything or want me to make a specific video, as long as it's not like a 0 to 100 video, I'll probably end up making it for you. So just let me know, and if you have any comments, leave them below, and I'll answer them for you. Okay, so a couple of guys have asked me to make a nighttime driving video, so I'm going to do that now, and I'll go over some thoughts I have about the car. I've owned it for about 2 months now, so I'll give you some of my impressions. So to start off, you just press the engine start stop button. And in the SI, you can see we have all these nice red gauges, and it's very easy to see at night. It's not hard on your eyes at all. And the headlights I have in the car are aftermarket halogen, so they're much whiter than the stock bulbs. And right now I'm in a parking garage, so I'm going to put down the windows just a bit so that you guys can hear what the engine and the exhaust sounds like. And the exhaust, it's really not that loud, except on the highway it does drone a lot, and you do hear it in the cabin. It gets a little bit annoying after a while, but it's not too bad. And at nighttime in this car, it does have automatic headlights. So once the headlights do turn on, it does dim your display here, and you could adjust what brightness it dims it to. And you do that by hitting this button all the way to the right. But since the headlights are on now, I can adjust my nighttime brightness, and it will always default to that. Or pressing again, you can shut it off, or you're back to daytime mode. Now you guys can see what the lane watch looks like at night. It's obviously not the best color quality because it's nighttime, but it still allows you to see enough for it to be useful. And I'm just going to shut the windows now so that it's easier to hear me. And as you can see, it's pretty quiet once you're underway, but under heavy acceleration, you do hear the exhaust, which can be just a little bit annoying. And on the highway, when you're at higher speeds, for example, at 70 miles per hour, you're right around 3,000 RPM, so you do get a lot of exhaust drone in the cabin. And the automatic headlights in the iMid, you can adjust the sensitivity. I have them on the most sensitive setting because honestly, I don't ever think it's bad to have the headlights on, so it's okay if they do go on early. But the only time I ever have an issue with it is very early in the morning. Sometimes when I go into work, sometimes they go on for a minute, then off for a minute, and they can't decide if they should be on or not because it's at brightness at that time of day. But other than that, I can adjust the sensitivity so it's not as high, and I wouldn't have that issue. And the only thing that I dislike about the automatic headlights is they're not tied into the wipers. So if it's raining out, it may not be dark enough for the headlights to go on with the light sensor, but at least in the state of New Jersey, it's the law that your headlights have to be on if your wipers are on. So I think it would be great if there was a way to have the headlights turn on with the wipers, like they do in other cars that I've driven, but in this car they just don't do it, and that's kind of annoying, because you actually have to think about your headlights now, instead of them just being in automatic mode. But other than that, they work well, and there's no complaints. And also concerned about nighttime driving, the fog lights. I'm going to switch them on right now. I don't know if you'll be able to see a difference on camera. They do light up a significant portion of the road in front of you. And what's really cool is they also have little halo rings around them, so that looks pretty cool at nighttime, especially if you switch them over to LEDs or white halogen bulbs, because then the halo will really stick out. But the stock bulbs, they're kind of yellow. They're not the best halogens, but they are pretty bright, so they get the job done. Just not the best for looks. inside the cabin, you can see all the lights. They're bright enough that you can read and press the buttons and know what they are. Just a quick glance, you can read what it is. It's not difficult to see them at all. And all the window switches and mirror controls light up on the driver's side door panel, but they don't light up on any other door panel. And the sunroof control also lights up. Now, just my basic thoughts about the car. Like I've said, I've owned it for, it'll be exactly 2 months in about 6 days. So far, I have 1,468 miles on it. No issues at all. Since I've had the car, I've been averaging 26.9 miles per gallon, I believe it is. But the car says 27.8. The iMid, it does give you an artificially high number. If you can calculate it, it's usually between 1 and 3 miles per gallon lower. And I've always ran premium gas in the car, so 93 octane, because that's what's available in New Jersey. And like I said, no issues with the car. It's been absolutely perfect so far, like a new car should be. And my favorite part about this car would probably be the transmission. The throws, they're very short. It's not the shortest I've ever experienced. They're probably shorter in the Subaru BRZ and the Porsche 911 C4S with the 7-speed manual, something like that. The throws are obviously much shorter. But in the Civic, besides being short up and down, they're very close together left and right. Like when you're in 6th gear, you're barely at the middle of the console. So it's cool, you could grab the next gear rather quickly. And it's just such a smooth gearbox. You never miss a gear in it. The gates are very well defined without it being notchy. It's just very easy to use. And with the engine, there is rev hang with the car, so if you're downshifting from 6th to 5th and you're only going like 50 miles per hour, you won't have to rev match, because when you put in the clutch, if you do it fast enough, your revs aren't going to drop. And it also makes rev matching easier in the lower gear, so if I go from 5 to 4 right now, I barely had to touch the gas. Just driving this car in general is just extremely easy to do. And going around this tight circle here, there's some body roll. It's really not that bad though. And I hate circles because people just stop in them for no reason. Yeah, I'm at my destination now, so once I leave, I'll start the video back up and I'll give you some more impressions about the car.